Alright, today I'm going to be ranking everything Infernal. This includes abilities, curses, and subclasses. Alright, we're going to be starting off with abilities. The first ability I'm going to be ranking is Oni. Oni is an alright ability for an Infernal to choose. I personally am not too fond of it, but it's not that bad. My favorite skill that it has is probably Demon Step, just because it allows you to combo and chain your attacks more easy compared to like using other skills. All of its other skills other than that and Flaming Shift are knockback, which I do like because it helps you get that separation you might need in a fight. So overall, I'm going to put Oni at a C tier. Next up is Doomclaw, and I'm going to keep it a buck. I really do not think it's that good for PvP, maybe PvE, but it really only has one good move, which is Dooming, and the only reason I think it's good is because it guard breaks and it's a several hit move. But other than that, it is not that good, so I'm going to put it at D tier. Greatsword is by far the best Infernal ability. The range it has compared to any other person using Fist is crazy, and it gives you the upper hand in pretty much any fight you have. And all of its abilities you can pretty much just use whenever you want, and you'll hit the person before they can hit you. They also chain together pretty well into their own combos, and its best skill is definitely Impale. It lets you just dash towards an opponent pretty far away, and then it pulls them into an animation that they can't escape. So I'm about to put Greatsword as the one and only S tier on this list. Next up is Summoner. Summoner is actually really good for PvE, and I used it for a while. Most of its abilities you can use at a decent range, so if you're not very good at emblem exchanges, you can use this. I personally would recommend it to people who are new to the game, and it can really carry you through the early missions. So I'm gonna have to put Summoner at B tier. Alright, the last ability I'm going to be ranking is Scythe. Scythe is also one of the really good Infernal abilities. I honestly think it's underrated as I don't see very many Infernals using it. All of its abilities are pretty good, and I really would strongly recommend this to pretty much anybody who's playing the game, whether they're new or old. I like everything about it, so I'm going to put this as A tier. Alright, now moving on to subclasses. The first one we got is Wing. Wing is actually pretty good because it goes through block, so if you ever mess up your combos and somebody starts blocking, you can always restart it with your Wing ability. So I think this is a pretty useful move to have on you at any point in time. I'm going to be putting Wing at B tier. Blitz is also a pretty good subclass. I have it. The only complaint I have is that sometimes when you pop it, you'll just use it in place and you don't go anywhere, and it won't work properly unless I'm just stupid and don't use it properly. But either way, the move is pretty good, and you can pretty much use it to evade or attack. So I'm going to be putting it at B tier with Wing. Next up is Spitter. Spitter is actually very good and underrated, as I haven't seen very many people using it. But the main reason I like it is that its passive lets you have a burn effect on people after you hit them, so this is very useful, and its actual main attack ability is AoE with a pretty big range, so I'm going to be putting Spitter into A tier. Tail is another really underrated subclass, as its passive lets you have a chance to block incoming damage by up to 80%, and then its actual ability has iframes, which I don't think people in this game realize how useful iframes are. I'm going to be putting that into A tier with Spitter. The last subclass is Beam, which I honestly think is terrible because the windup for its main move is so ridiculously long that it is basically useless. And then its passive ability is entirely blockable, so I really think Beam is useless, and if you have it, you might as well just spin off of it. I'm going to be putting this into D tier. Moving on to curses, the first one is Chaos Eater. I honestly think it's pretty good since it guard breaks and it lets you teleport to enemies, so you can combo off it pretty easily. I'm going to be putting this one into B tier. Leash looks pretty good off the Trello, but right now in game, at least I believe so, it is still broken, so I haven't actually been able to use it in a fight. But being able to steal 60 HP pretty quickly from your opponent does sound pretty useful, but obviously, like I said, can't really use it in game, so I don't have a whole lot to judge it off of. I'm going to be putting it to C tier. The next curse is Screech. Screech is honestly kind of mediocre. Nothing about it is really special. The range on it is pretty big, but it's nothing to be super stoked about. I'm going to be putting it into C tier. The last thing I'm going to be ranking today is Shrapnel. Shrapnel is honestly not that good. Some people might think it's like super cool because like you go invisible, but you go invisible for probably like half a second, and then I don't believe the move actually does that much damage. So I'm going to be putting this one into D tier. Don't forget to subscribe.